live on Asia. Today is a special day. It's May Day, a day committed to the workers and labor force across the globe. And that is the reason we are joined by a very special guest today, Sita Ram Yechuri, the General Secretary of the Communist Party of India, Marxist. And in this next few minutes, we'll talk about everything, right from the relevance of May Day to the COVID-19 outbreak and how Kerala is managing the entire affair, managing the pandemic. And we'll go back to the demand which has been put forward by the CPM today, that every non-income taxpayer in this country should be given 7,500 rupees for the next 3 months. So without wasting much time, I will bring Mr. Sitaram Yechuri in this conversation. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Nice to be with you.
Thanks a lot. And, without wasting much time, I'll cut across to you. In fact, I had a series of questions lined up for the conversation. I'll not say this is an interview. I'll try to keep it as a conversation. In course of conversation, we'll also take comments and questions from the audience and when it comes. The framing of questions have changed. I have to accept. Because of the MHA guideline or order which says that lockdown has been extended for next 2 weeks, 2 more weeks from May 4th. So I want to know your first reaction to the extension that has been ordered by the MHA, the Ministry of Home Affairs.
Well, you see, the lockdowns per se are periods when you do intensive preparations. Now, without preparations, mere lockdown can only maybe delay the spread of the virus and the pandemic, but it cannot really contain it.
Right.
Now, what is being done to contain it? You extend it by 2 more weeks, okay? But what are you going to use these 2 weeks for?
Right.
I mean, you have not used the last 6 weeks for anything tangible. Now, if it's only going to be lockdown of this nature. No. What does it really? Finally amount to? Hello. So we'd like to know. We'd like to know what are the arrangements, what are the preparations that are being done during this extension. What is it that the government is planning? Are they going to do more testing? Are they going to find out where this is actually community spread is taking place and isolate those areas?
Right.
And slowly start relaxing the other areas. In which case, what is the scientific basis on which this plan is being worked out? Have they consulted the state governments in this direction? Because we have our experience in Kerala, where on a basis of very scientific manner, we have demarcated it into 3 zones. The center was trying to emulate those 3 zones, but on what basis are they doing it? I mean, the country is in complete dark about all these things.
Right.
A lockdown per se means nothing. Lockdown is a period to utilize to contain the spread of this disease. Are we getting more protective equipment for our health workers and doctors? Many of them are succumbing to this virus. I mean, are we expanding and augmenting our health facilities? Are we getting more ventilators? Are we getting more prepared? Have we told the private health facility owners to actually...
Mr. Yechuri, you are saying that the government, at least, as far as I can understand the entire line of argument you are saying, are you trying to say that the central government was not at all prepared for this situation and nothing has been, there's no strategy in place in the past 6 weeks to deal with this global pandemic?
Absolutely. I'm making this because even before this lockdown came, the first case in India emerged on the 30th of January. Till the 22nd of March, when you had the Janata
in Kerala.
In Kerala. And Kerala started the preparations before this case emerged from the 25th of January. Because of the global situation, and many Keralites are in many countries abroad. So when they start coming back, they anticipated there'll be problem. They started their control rooms, everything district-wise on the 25th of January. 30th, the first case comes. After that, we've had what? You had the Namaste Trump program in Gujarat. You see what is happening in Gujarat today. You had the toppling of the government and the swearing in, a public swearing in with thousands of people in Madhya Pradesh. You see, these are the 2 states that are reporting worse spread of this virus. Then you had this Tablighi, congregation, which was irresponsible on the part of the organizers to organize that. But then these events were all permitted. They were
Right.
all permitted by the authorities. So what were the precautions we were taking when you knew March 11th, the WHO declares it as a global pandemic. March 24th, February 24th, you have the Namaste Trump. Then after that, you have in March the swearing in, toppling of the government. Now, who permitted all these events to take place? The same Tablighi congregation permission was refused by the Maharashtra government. How was it allowed in Delhi directly under the Ministry of Home Affairs? No, these are all indications that we were not really anticipating an outburst, and the government was completely unprepared about this. We should have taken the necessary
Are
precautions.
you also saying that the central government was, in a way, non-serious about the COVID-19 in the beginning? Because you had this grand welcome for Donald Trump, who equally looks completely unserious about the COVID-19 outbreak in his own country.
Well, we have our leaders competing with each other. That's a different point.
Hmm.
I'm not making any allegation or accusation. All I'm saying is going by what has happened in the country even after the dangers were globally known and warned. Even then, our not putting in place the required precautions, the required measures, which is very obvious for everybody to see, that they are not being made, that is an indicator that we were completely ill prepared.
So,
Now, that is something that had to be corrected. No, in the first 6 weeks of the lockdown, first you had how many? Nearly a month of lockdown, and then you extended it further. Now you are extending it further. But during this period, what are the preparations we are doing? Please augment our health facilities. Please protect our health workers and doctors. Please do much more testing. We are one of the lowest in the world today. 60 per million, which is
okay.
one of the lowest averages. Do all these things. If you want the lockdown to produce results, then these things have to be done. And for that, I don't think the government has any roadmap or any plan of action.
Okay, but don't you think that situation has slightly improved, because we saw the ICMR sharing the data that in the second week of the lockdown, the doubling rate was nearly 4.2 or something around 4, and by the fourth week of the lockdown, it has improved to 9 weeks, 9 days. The doubling rate was nearly at 9 days. So the
Yes,
situation is improving in a way,
I've seen this data also. The
right?
point is statistics and statistics and statistics. They are how you can use them. All of us are aware.
Hmm.
And as a professionally trained economist, I can tell you that there is an old English saying that says lies, damned lies, and statistics. Now, the point is you go by the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Are the number of deaths increasing? Yes, they are. Is there a death rate? Actually, a very, very difficult the situation that is emerging in some states. Yes, it is. Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, your own Tamil Nadu. Look at what is happening in Tamil Nadu today.
Hmm.
And you see, these are the ground realities, no? The question is, what I'm saying is not a question of rates and statistics.
Hmm.
The question is, are we adequately prepared?
Right.
And my point is, unfortunately, I think we are not. And that shortcoming has to be overcome at the earliest on a war footing.
Right. Uh, I will also ask you, before I shift to the economic aspect of the COVID-19 outbreak, because I have seen you in the past at least 2 weeks, I would say honestly, that you have been extensively talking about the economic outcome or the economic crisis that has been triggered by the
Correct.
COVID-19. But before we come to that question, I have a very specific question about the Kerala model, because we saw that the first case in India happened in Kerala, as you said as well, and then the cases were increasing. The Kerala and Maharashtra were in a competing position, and then the cases stopped. It has, in a way, contained the COVID-19 situation to the, if I may say, to the largest extent possible. So, first, if
Correct.
you could give us inputs, insights about the Kerala model, why it became successful.
First of all, we have to understand that Kerala is one of the few states in the country which has a very, very good public healthcare system. And it has an excellent system of distribution of food and essential commodities to the people, irrespective of APL, BPL division. Everybody is covered in this food distribution program. Now, both of these things are essential to combat any epidemic or pandemic. Now, Kerala has had that advantage that was put in place by the left governments decades ago. I mean, right from the 1950s. That's a separate issue.
Hmm.
But then Kerala, in this situation, was completely prepared in advance. They started moving and taking actions, learning from the global experience. Remember how the Kerala tackled the Nipah outbreak.
Yes.
Even the WHO had to issue its commendation, saying it was excellently handled, and that was contained. Now, similarly, control rooms were set up in every district center. Everybody who tested positive, all their contacts, all their contacts were systematically attended to, and each one of them was asked to go into a self-imposed quarantine, tested, and where they found positive, shifted to hospitalization and quarantine there. And like this, you traced the contacts of every single positive tested person, and thereby you could actually locate where all it is spread and where are the possibilities of it reaching the community transmission stage.
Yeah.
Those things, you isolated those areas, locked them down completely. There was one person who returned from Europe via Dubai, came into Kerala, went into northern Kerala, into Kasargod, traveled to meet various relatives. When being told to actually be quarantined, when he did that, and when the cases started spreading, positive numbers started growing, that person was traced. Where all he went was traced. Whom all he met was traced. All those individuals were quarantined, and then on that basis, the further spread was contained.
So
So you will have to
whatever you
methodically.
explained, Mr. Yechuri, it sounds similar to much lauded Bhilwara model or the new word that is being used in the national capital called Operation Shield. So in a way, it seems like whether it be Rajasthan or Delhi, they have actually learned it from Kerala.
Well, I hope people learn it from Kerala, whether it's Delhi or Rajasthan. Both where the cases are not decreasing there, nor are the number of deaths falling. No, so therefore, it's the situation is serious. But I seriously hope that people follow this. It's not an ideological issue. It's
Hmm.
not a CPIM-led government in Kerala. Therefore, it is something not to be followed. But globally, also look at it. Globally, look at it. How China contained it eventually, and why is it not a single COVID death in Vietnam? Why is it that the Cuba is today in a position where not only is it contained it, but is assisting many countries in the world with medical assistance? How did it happen in Korea? How did it happen even in countries like Singapore, in South Korea? So
So,
I mean,
hmm.
you have to learn from this. This is not a battle of you versus me. This
Right.
is a battle between all of us. It's
Right.
a life and death question for the entire human species.
Right.
Species will survive, no doubt about it. But the question is at what cost?
Yeah, in
And
fact, that's a very valid point that you're saying that we have to learn in this phase. But unfortunately, we have been witnessing instances. There's this whole section out there who never misses an opportunity to spew venom or spread hatred, which has been also
absolutely,
happening in the country even during the COVID-19 outbreak.
absolutely very unfortunate. I mean, this sort of communal polarization or social polarization. That is why I'm against this term called social distancing.
Hmm.
It is not social distancing. It is physical
Physical
distancing
distancing, yes.
with social solidarity.
Physical
That's
distancing with social solidarity.
that's it. That
Okay.
is the most appropriate term, and that is what we should practice instead of dividing our people.
So I
The
will take that as Mr. Sitaram Yechuri's motto: how to fight COVID-19.
Absolutely,
Physical
absolutely
distancing with social
so,
solidarity.
correct.
Right.
Only when we are united we can do it. And now, for heaven's sake, do not do witch hunting. And like the British did during the 1890s plague, arm yourself with the Sedition Act, arm yourself with the Epidemics Act. Now you have the Disaster Management Act. Now you have the Sedition Act like it was under the British, and both being used against people who have protested against the CAA, NRC, NPR now and arresting them. I mean, this is not the time to go into all these
In
things. This is
fact,
the time to.
Mr. Yechuri, I'll come back to this topic in the later half of the conversation where we'll discuss about Delhi riots. But as I said about economy, we know that COVID-19 is giving out a cascading impact on the global economy, and it is the Economist Intelligence Unit has already predicted that is going to impact at least the G20 countries in a large manner, so much so that recession might come in the next 6 months. India is no exception.
Absolutely.
And you have been talking about economy, so I just wanted to know, this extension of 2 weeks is also going to have more impact on the economy and the whether it be the large scale industries, the corporate houses, or the migrant workers. Everyone is impacted by the COVID-19 outbreak. So,
Absolutely.
how do you assess the economic impact of COVID-19, and has the government done, whether it be the state governments or the central government, have they done enough to reduce the economic fallout of COVID-19?
Well, economic impact is going to be very, very disastrous. Let us face one fact. Even before the COVID pandemic broke out, our economy, Indian economy, was on the verge of a recession. The slowing down of our GDP for 6 quarters in a row, more than 3 quarters, people normally term it as a recession. 6 quarters in a row, you had industries closing down, huge amount of job losses, and that unemployment growing. All this was happening before the COVID pandemic came. Once the COVID pandemic came and this lockdown came, then this has been compounded exponentially. Now this has created, you're right, created problems for every section in the economy. But right now is a question of people's survival. We cannot have more people dying out of hunger or homelessness or deprivation rather than the COVID pandemic.
Hmm.
And this is something that has to be, first of all, this has to be tackled immediately. That is why I've suggested right now,
Hmm.
because the CMIE, the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, has estimated that the number of unemployed people under the lockdown has grown by 14 crores additionally. 14 crores.
Right.
I mean, that's a huge amount. Nearly 40% of the workforce today are unemployed. Bulk of them are daily wage earners. They are migrant workers. They are casual workers. They are contract workers who have lost their source of livelihood. Now they will be the source of this community spread because of the lack of nutrition, lack of immunity, droppage in immunity levels. Now, if that sort of a thing happens, then we are in for much greater trouble. If that has
Hmm.
to be prevented, we will have to support them, financially support these people.
Right.
That is
In
why
fact, I have another data to share, just for the viewers who have just joined us. Number one, Mr. Yechuri is in live conversation with us, so you can fire, you can shoot your questions, whatever you have, and those questions can be also completely millennial or Gen Z questions if you have. And but the data that I wanted to share, Mr. Yechuri, today itself, the CMIE has
yeah.
shared another data which says that the unemployment rate in India has reached 23.5%. And this
Mm,
is the cascading impact of the COVID-19 that I was talking about.
yeah.
Just for the viewers' understanding why this number is important. In April 2019, the unemployment rate in the country was at 7.3, and in March 2020 it was at 8.7, which is already high, and that is why we were constantly talking about the unemployment crisis in the country. And just understand, within a month's time, that has reached to 23.5%. So that's a huge increase, 14 plus percent increase, Mr. Yechuri.
Yes, right. Absolutely, it is an alarming situation. So that is why today, if these people have to survive, and they must survive, it is essential that we give them a monthly income.
Hmm.
and that monthly income to all non-income tax paying people, 7,500 rupees per month for the next 3 months must be transferred to them
Why
by
is
the
that
government.
important? Why is that important?
Because, I mean, they have nothing to live on. Many of them do not have a shelter, and they're nothing to live on. Rations, you give them food grains, but
Hmm.
they require other things to live on. Food grains also, you have 77 million, 7.7 crore tons of grain in your central godowns.
Hmm.
Now your new crop is coming, harvesting is begun. I mean, many places is over. That procurement will also take place. So, what will you do with this huge food stock if your people are going hungry, and if they are going to succumb to hunger?
Right.
So, therefore, release this food stock, send them to the states who are on the battlefront of this battling the pandemic, and let it be distributed free to all the needy,
Okay.
and give
This
this cash
food grain
transfer.
aspect is I agree with it completely. But the money that you are talking about, 7,500 rupees to every
Right.
non-income taxpayers for the next 3 months. So
Yes.
I am assuming that
I
you
mean,
might have also calculated the budgetary allocation that is supposed to be made. So what exactly is the amount that Indian government has to
you
spend?
see, a new budget will have to come. Anyway, you require a supplementary budget even whenever that may be possible. You will consider all the types of taxation that will be done, that will be required to be done. I would say bring back the wealth tax that has been abolished by this government. You consider putting a cess on the super rich. That in itself will fetch you more than sufficient money to do what I'm suggesting.
Okay.
And in any case, including all the economists, Nobel laureates, I mean, Professor Amartya Sen, Abhijit Banerjee, or Raghuram Rajan, all three of them together have suggested that this is you can actually ask the RBI print money and distribute them. I mean, that is not really going to create much damage in the country.
Okay, so you
They
have
are
not
not.
calculated the cost per se that this particular package that CPM is talking about might
I mean,
cost the.
I can provide you what is called the back of an envelope thing. But if you want an exact costing, that'll take about a day or so to prepare.
Okay.
But the point is, what is the financial package that you have announced so far?
Hmm.
1.7 lakh
Lakh
crores.
crore.
What is that? Less than 1% of your GDP.
Right.
Every other country in the world that I have known of is spending close to between 5 to 10%.
Hmm.
And in fact, Donald Trump is announcing some trillions and trillions of dollars, already checks for $2,400 is reaching individuals in the United States.
Right. Talking
Yes.
of economists and packages, we have a question from Mr. Sham Sundar.
Uh,
He is asking economists like Raghuram Rajan and Kaushik
mm,
Basu are saying
uh,
that the lockdown will force foreign investors to go to other countries, and India will take a very long time to recover from this situation. So, what should be India's priority?
Priority first is to save our people's lives. Now, if we move in a systematic, scientific manner, as I
Not the
suggested
foreign
earlier,
investors, but the people.
first priority is our people.
Okay.
I mean, if they are not going to be alive, then what will foreign investment do here? First, take care of our people, ensure that they are in a position to. I mean, their life is not lost.
Hmm.
Now, the foreign investment will come only when we give the confidence that we are scientifically in a systematic manner tackling this COVID, not in a knee-jerk manner without any scientific backing and preparations, just extending the lockdowns. Now, as we discussed earlier, as I pointed out earlier, we require a roadmap. We require a plan on the basis of which this extension of lockdown will also be utilized to put in place and overcome the inadequacies that we talked of earlier.
Right.
Now,
No,
only that will generate confidence in any foreign investor. Now,
that
if you
only
don't do
that
that,
will generate confidence in any foreign investor. So that's
yes,
the bigger takeaway. Now, moving forward, We have been talking about migrant workers. Today is May Day. In normal conditions, normal situations, we would have at least had the left parties celebrating the May Day. That is not happening today.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, the day is dedicated to the workforce, and India's workforce, the migrant workers who run the cities, are either forced to stand in lines and wait for hours for 2 meals or 3 meals per day, or they walk for hundreds of kilometers to reach their home. So they are the worst hit section because of this COVID-19. You know,
Absolutely.
I heard to your live earlier today where you said that the government, the central government, had not given enough time for the state governments to get prepared, and because of that, migrant workers had to walk for several kilometers.
Yes.
And the Congress party on the other side is saying that has been also talking about the migrant workers. And today, in fact, they said that running a single train is a knee-jerk reaction to the situation. So, has the state governments, I would say, emphasize, has the state governments and the central government both failed to analyze the situation, that how bad the situation can get for the migrant workers?
No, you see, it'll be very unfair to apportion the blame equally between the state and the central government.
Hmm.
You see, the central government announced, the Prime Minister announced this lockdown with a 4 hour notice. Just a 4 hour notice. Like he announced the demonetization with a 4 hour notice.
Hmm.
The same methodology. And after that, every day the rules keep changing. That's a different matter.
Right.
That's a different matter. But with 4 hours of notice, what preparation time have you given the state governments to prepare to take care of this problem? What preparation time did the migrant workers themselves have to prepare to return back to their homes because they cannot stay anywhere, they've lost their jobs, they've lost their livelihood? So some preparation time had to be given. If that had to be given, then certain planning had to be undertaken. Some planning had to be undertaken at various levels, at the short term, at the medium term, at the long term. None of this was done. So it is indeed the first time I wrote to the Prime Minister when he announced the national lockdown. I said it is very good that the government of India made arrangements for bringing back Indians stranded in various foreign countries by organizing special planes, aircraft.
Hmm.
As far as our migrant workers are concerned, forget planes. At least organize trains, allow trains to move, organize special trains so that they can be sent back to their homes so that they may survive. Otherwise, I also wrote there to him, cautioning the purpose for which you have announced this lockdown, that will be defeated.
Right.
The purpose was to maintain physical distancing, not crowding together. That is exactly what happened with the migrant workers.
Hmm.
They were in crowd surging and walking thousands of kilometers to reach home.
In fact,
Many died.
I have reported from different parts of the national capital where we have seen, the entire concept of social distancing being thrown out of the window, because you have hundreds and hundreds of workers waiting for food, and they have no other options but to stay crowded when the food is being distributed.
Absolutely. And there in fact been instances of stampedes
Hmm.
when food came to be distributed. And most of this distribution is being done through private arrangements. I mean, organizations that are connected with us, like our trade unions, our students, our women, our kisans, and agricultural labor, they are the ones who are collecting grain and distributing it all over the country today. All over the country, I'm at least CPIM. I'm very proud to say that all our members and sympathizers, wherever possible, wherever they've got permission under this lockdown, they have been going and providing whatever relief we can provide,
In
voluntary
fact, if
collection.
I may share, a lot of messages has been doing rounds on social media and
Yes,
on WhatsApp University, that where are the so-called leftists? Why are they not supporting the migrant workers and those hit by this pandemic, while the
uh-huh.
RSS is working for these people?
Oh yes, that has been. These people are very religiously implementing the lockdown, sitting in their homes,
Hmm.
and I mean enjoying what the media obviously will not show. The left doing all these things. Media being what it is today in our country, very sad, very unfortunate, very painful. But that is what the bulk of the media has
Hmm.
been reduced to. If they get out of their houses, If they're not so, they say, I mean, wherever if the restrictions are there, you can go to the markets, you can go to the places where the authorities have permitted. You will see them there, see the left workers there. So if you be confined to your house and very religiously implement the lockdown, you won't see the left.
Right.
Because we are not inside the houses, we are out there with the people who need help and assistance.
Yuchiri, and we'll move the other aspects. And so I'll quickly wrap this up. We have been constantly talking about the central government's responsibility. But what about the state
Mhm.
governments? You said that 7,500 rupees needs to be given to every non-income taxpayer, and similar
Mhm.
demands have been put forward by the Congress party. We have had chief ministers like Bhupesh Baghel who have not minced a word, holding the central government accountable for the entire outbreak. But why we are not saying that the state should also bear some pain? They should also bear some cost of the
I say,
said money that we are talking about.
yeah, first of all, I mean, our state government in Kerala was the first to announce a 20,000 crore package. For Kerala, it is much more in proportionate terms than the 1.7 that the center announced. That apart, what is the situation of the state's finances? The dues to them of the GST dues, the GST dues have not been paid back. The center is withholding the payment even under these conditions. The ways and means borrowing, the ceiling, FRBM ceiling that they have, the states are all saying you increase that ceiling so that we can at least borrow to spend for the welfare of the people. That is not being done. The Prime Minister says the tax concessions, tax exemption will be given for donations to a new fund, a private trust fund that he created with his name. That fund, the tax collections, the CSR can also go into that with the tax exemptions, but they can't go into the Chief Minister's Relief Fund. Now, what is the thousands of crores of rupees being collected in this new fund for?
Hmm, hmm.
Where is it? Where is it going? I mean, now release all that and give it generously to the states you are on the battlefront
Right.
combating this.
Okay.
Why is that not being done?
So you're saying the states are
you have
already
started
not in a
you
position to bear the cost, and it's instead the situation is so bad that the center needs to pay the dues,
absolutely
clear the dues
please
at
and
least.
please understand one thing. Often we put the cart before the horses. You see, there is no center without the states in India. Your Article 1 of your constitution says India, that is Bharat, is a union of
Hmm.
states. Without the states and without that union, the center doesn't exist. Now the center is acting as though it's the big brother. I'll give you. And where does the center get all the money from?
Okay.
It gets from taxes collected from people who are living in the states, no?
Yes. I have a quick
Ah,
question from a viewer. Vivek Gopal is asking, I don't know how to take this question. He's asking, is the stigma against leftism why the approach to flattening the curve is industry first?
I'm sorry?
He's asking, is
What?
the stigma against the leftism why the
Ah,
approach to flattening the curve is industry first? Probably he's meaning to say that shut down the industries first.
shut down the industry.
Hmm. During the lockdown.
What did the left say about shutting down the industries? I don't understand.
Okay, let's move forward.
No, no. What does the question mean? We are saying don't throw people out of jobs. I mean, it's not the industry shutting down.
hmm,
I mean, they are shutting down the workers.
right. They are shutting
Yeah,
down the workers.
yeah.
Coming to this part of the conversation, I know it's been already 30 minutes and you might have to go, take
Yes.
care of other affairs. But I'll try to quickly wrap this up. We have to accept that in the era that we are living, in a way, capitalism has taken over the global economy. Now, what is the
Well,
relevant?
it always has. What is new? It's been more than a century since it's happened.
Huh,
Since the beginning of the 20th century, when imperialism emerged,
hmm,
since then the whole world has been under one imperialist chain.
right.
Huh.
So, what is the
So
relevance of May Day in a situation in a day like this?
please understand, an 8-hour working day was the achievement of the product of the working class's struggles and not the charity of any capitalist. Now, using this pandemic, even that is being attacked, and in 4 states in India, all over the world, it's happening. In 4 states in India, they have increased the 8-hour day to a 12-hour day,
Okay.
so that the industrialist can cut off one half of his workforce, making every worker work 1.5 times more. So they save their costs by retrenching workers, and each worker will have to put in one half a day's work extra. Now, this is the sort of attacks that are coming. The significance of May Day is to protect the hard won rights from being eroded in the name
So,
of fighting this
if we have
pandemic.
to tell this message that you shared or the information that you have shared to the millennials or the youth of the country, that why should they bother about May Day? What would be
Yes.
one point?
The one point is that if you want a job in the future, if you want a future for yourself, you will have to be organized and fight for that right. That can only happen when the history of May Day is recollected, and that international solidarity of the working people the world over. Only when that is strong can you achieve these rights.
Hmm.
Whether the right to employment, whether the right to social security, whether right to a public health, whether right to a public education, all these things came about as product of people's struggles.
Okay.
All the millionaires today, I mean, except those who are born with a silver spoon, all other millionaires who are aspiring for a better life, who's the aspirational generation, as they've been known as, if they are aspiring for a better life, it is not going to come and fall as a manna from heaven. It has to be earned through your hard struggles, and that is the significance of May Day.
Right.
If you want a brighter future, it's the May Day. Remember the May Day, and remember the struggles that have taken place that have brought in all these rights.
That's hell lot of
Many,
appeal, Mr. Yechuri.
um,
But I have one more question, which is in a way aligned. Rather, my next two, three questions are connected with each other. Uh, May Day, COVID-19, and Kerala has done a tremendously good job. And then you also told us what is the importance of May Day. But when we look at the left politics in this country, it seems to be becoming electorally irrelevant. I have
yeah.
no qualms in saying that, and sorry if my words are offending anyone. Uh,
No, no. I mean, that is a fact. That's a reality at the moment.
hmm,
That is a reality at the moment.
the
But I'm
reality at the
confident.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm sure this moment will pass and it'll change.
when
That's a different
that's my
matter.
question, when, because
uh,
if you look at
yeah,
the
it
cadre base
will.
of the left party, I had gone for a long reporting assignment in Kerala a few years back, and there I saw the difference is that you still have youth working for your party in Kerala, but in the rest of the country there's no youth. So why is
No,
the youth not coming
I'm
back?
not sure I'm not sure you're right.
Hmm.
I mean, you come down to many parts of the country where is actually the youth, the leadership. Yeah, you may be looking at all of us and saying we are not youth. That's correct.
Hmm.
The point is that the bulk of the people who are associated with the left, participating in our work, in our activities, and in our struggles, are all majority are the youth. And this is the fact. Why is it that you tell me in various unions, I mean, various universities in the country, the SFI that is close to us, that SFI is winning the students' union elections? Why is it despite targeting those universities?
I have a
Despite,
counter question, Mr. Yechuri, on this. SFI, or for that matter, left student bodies in across the universities. Be it
hmm,
in Delhi University, you have ISA, which leads all the important student movements, and in JNU you have the a very vibrant culture of the left. And in different universities, for that matter, left young activists do a good job. But why do they fail to feature in the party leadership, or why do they are not
well,
able to continue with left activism, and they rather prefer to join the Congress?
No, that is not correct. Very few may have gone over to the Congress. I came out from the student movement,
Hmm.
and I came out from the left, and I'm in the leadership. There are many others in my leadership, in my Politburo. If you look at it, most of them have come from the student movement. They are part of the leadership, part of the collective leadership. That is not correct. I mean, there will be cases always. The students, I mean, some people dropping out, some people moving to some other parties. But it is not correct to say. But what you asked about
Ah.
electoral politics and the left being a waning force. You see, remember when you measure the importance of the left, the yardstick will have to be based on two parameters.
Hmm.
One is on the question of electoral results, which are very important. I'm not discounting that at all. They are very important, and this is a severe setback that we have been having since 2009 onwards. That we have been growing through. I mean, that is a different matter. But the other yardstick is the ability through popular struggles to influence the agenda before the country,
Right, but you know, in
and that
times
and
in times
that is
when you have
something.
leaders like Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Home Minister who used to be the BJP chief Amit Shah, everything
Mm,
boils down to electoral success or defeat. So in Delhi, if Arvind Kejriwal is relevant, it's because of his electoral victory. In West Bengal, it's Mamta Banerjee's electoral success. And that is why they have been attacking the left very easily and getting away, saying that the left is not electorally relevant anymore.
Correct. The point is that to be electorally winnable in our country, there are many other factors that go into it. And in those factors, the left is much weaker than all these
Hmm.
forces. Today, today elections are nothing else but being reduced increasingly to the play of money power. Playing of this money power, the amount of money that is being spent in the left, that in itself is an inhibiting factor for the advance of the left electorally.
Okay.
I mean, we don't take any corporate funds. We don't
So
take, I mean,
how
there's
will
not a
this
single
left
effort.
politics survive, Mr. Yechuri? Then it's all about money power. You're not taking corporate funds. The youth is not joining the
Absolutely.
electoral
It,
force.
it, it, it will flower precisely because in 2 days, for the victims of the communal violence in Delhi, when we gave a call for solidarity fund, in 2 days through bucket collections in Kerala, more than 8 crores of rupees was collected from the people.
Hmm.
We reach out to the people and people contribute. How do you think all this money is coming for all the relief work that we are doing during this lockdown period?
Okay, I have a straight question.
No industrial is giving us money like it goes to the PM Cares fund.
Mr. Yechuri, I have a straight question. Has the left lost charm or not?
Of course not. If the left has lost charm, there will be no charm left in the world.
Okay, okay. Now, before I wrap this up, the entire discussion, I have three quick questions. One is it's all about marketing as well. I know you have to leave, so I'll just try to keep it
Mm.
short. It's all about marketing these times. You had a leader in Gujarat who sold the Gujarat model to India and to the world as well. For that matter, became the prime minister of
Absolutely.
this country, and then a newcomer, rookie, became the chief minister of Delhi for 3 times. In Kerala, you are doing a good job in handling COVID-19, but still the left is failing to sell itself. Do you agree?
We don't believe in selling ourselves. We are not a commodity. We believe in people realizing what is our worth.
Okay.
And that people are realizing that they will realize. That is why
Hmm.
if you want any issue to be flagged, any people, the same people who may not vote for us, but who will say that if this is on an issue of my wages, my bonus, my job, etc., it is the red flag and the left
Okay.
that we have confidence in.
Okay.
That
Right.
is the confidence. That is the confidence we elicit from the people.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
We don't sell ourselves.
You don't sell yourself, so that's the bottom line. And before we switch to the Delhi riot question, a quick response. This, a few years back, you got a leader who has a mass appeal amongst the youth cutting across the party line. I hope you are getting who he is, even though he
Mhm.
does not belong to your party. But he has a
Understand?
strong appeal in the youth.
Yes.
Somehow, it seems that he is in a hurry. and he's not interested in the local issues, be it issues of his own state or his own constituency, which he might have won. So, is it that the left has left him unguided? There's no way to guide this young leader.
I don't know. I mean, honestly speaking, he is a
Hmm.
very promising leader, and I wish. That there was. I mean, he should have won the election in Begusarai. I mean, there was no way he should not have won there, and that is where even I personally also appeal to the other political parties, saying that we should all unite in supporting him. I personally went to campaign for him. But now, as you said rightly, he belongs to another
Hmm.
party, and I cannot really, I mean, say things for
But do
somebody
you
who is a
agree with the
member.
reading?
No, he's a member of the National Council of that party,
Hmm.
and I really don't know. I mean, what is the guidance that the party is asking him to do? What is the responsibilities they've given them? But the fact is that he is a leader with a lot of potential,
Right.
and that I recognize, and that is something that should be nurtured.
And that is why he
And
should
and
not
and
be in a hurry and work at the grassroots level as well.
that is what I mean. That he'll also learn. And again, as I said, these are unsolicited advices
Okay,
to be
okay.
given. You
No,
know, that's correct.
last question, Mr. Yechuri, before I let you go. It's been a long conversation.
Yes,
Uh,
very.
Delhi riots. We have seen while the lockdown is there, the country is struggling to contain the COVID-19 outbreak. But Delhi police has been working day in, day out, and making arrests, or you get to know that now another person has been booked under the UAPA, which is now supposed to be used against the terrorists and is much stringent law after the amendments which were made. So, to my surprise, it is also being used against the students, and particularly those, as you said in the beginning of the conversation, those who were active during the NTCA protest. So, how do you see
Correct.
this development?
Very wrong, very vindictive, and very undemocratic. And it is a hallmark of a totalitarian state. You see, I
Hallmark of
mean,
a
totalitarian state.
totalitarian state.
I mean, it is none of those who perpetrated that violence has been arrested. Those who have openly given a call for killing these protesters, BJP leaders, former legislators, lawmakers, their speeches and their hate speeches, including the present lawmakers, their hate speeches, none of them on which any cases have been registered or they have been picked up. Those who have been picked up have been the victims of that violence. Who are being picked up are students who were exercising their constitutional democratic right to peacefully protest. Now, you are in effect saying that constitution and those democratic rights do not exist. And what is the meaning of picking up young students and then UAPA meant for dreaded terrorists,
Hmm.
where you can't even seek any the reproach from the courts or from the jails for the next 18 months? I mean, this is draconian of the worst order. That is why we have all been through the emergency.
So,
We have fought
who
the
could be the
emergency.
brain
But
behind this? Who could be the brain behind? Is it Delhi police doing it independently, or do you see the
impossible. Impossible for the Delhi police to do anything independently. It's directly under the Union Home Ministry and the Union Home Minister.
Union Home Minister
Delhi,
Amit Shah?
Delhi,
You are saying,
Delhi police is directly under the
right?
Union Home Ministry.
Hmm. So, are the
So they'll
directions
only
also
act
coming
as
directly from the Union Home Minister?
that is what one has to presume.
Okay.
Otherwise, how is the Delhi police acting in this way? Patently unfair. Patently unfair. You have reports and you have FIRs against those who did this violence.
And do you see it as a targeted hounding of the NTCA protesters?
I mean, that is what it is appearing to be now. Absolutely. I mean, that is exactly what it's appearing to be now. And this sort of a targeting, I'm telling you, is undermining our united fight that we require at this time against this pandemic.
Okay.
And
Right.
this is not the time for them to pursue their divisive agenda.
Right. So I will take it as the bottom line of this conversation that it is not the time to further this sort of agenda, as you're saying that It's a targeted hounding, and the directions are coming directly from the Union Home Minister. Thanks a lot, Mr. Yechuri, for joining us live in this conversation.
Don't. 1 minute.
Yeah.
Don't say that I have said that your home minister is personally giving these orders. That is not. It
Okay.
is under the home ministry,
Home
which he is
Ministry.
presiding
Home
over.
Ministry.
Yeah, and he is presiding over the
He's
home
presiding
ministry.
over Delhi Police, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the bottom line. And Mr. Yechuri, thanks a lot for
Welcome.
joining us in this session of live. And in fact, I'll put forward a request before I let you go that once the lockdown is over, we'll meet in person and hold a similar kind of conversation one to one, if you may
Okay,
allow.
good. Sure, most welcome. Most
Thank
welcome.
you, sir. Thank
It'll
you.
be wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So that was CPM General Secretary Sitaram Yechuri speaking to Asiaville on issue of the COVID-19, how Kerala has dealt with the situation, and importance of May Day, why May Day is relevant for people like me and you, the millennials and the new generation. And in fact, towards the end of the conversation, he has also spoken about whether the left has lost charm or not, and the way Delhi police is acting against the NTCA protesters in connection to the communal Delhi communal right cases. Thanks a lot for joining us in this session of live, and we will continue to bring similar updates in the coming days. Stay safe, stay in home.